Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today is another Beat That List episode. Yes, it is episode 2 of this series. Beat That List is basically a series where I go head to head with two booktubers and all of us rank our top 5 items in a bookish category. Today the booktubers who are going to be joining me are Books Amaze and Ronak Shah, and the category that we have chosen for today is Indian books. Again, we had a blast filming this, so yeah, let's just cut to the episode where we ranked our top 5 Indian books. Let's go. Hi Avni, hi Ronak. Thank you so
Hi.
much. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this episode. Firstly, I want to say that all three of us are in completely different time zones. We have Avni in the US, Ronak is in India, and I live in Singapore. So, so we were like coordinating this was a little bit tricky, but thank you so much for making it. Ronak, let's start with you. Maybe you can reveal what is number 5 on your list.
Okay. Number five is very old book, and you must have seen this, right? I don't know if you have seen this, the web series right now on BBC One, but that's
Oh,
Suitable Boy, which is around 1450 pages long book. The reason is because it's talk about the India very much. Matlab, it's talk about the pre-independence and the after independence, the conflict between Hindu and Muslim, and how we have to tackle the things. Obviously, the web series is kind of different as compared to the book because we have to make it little bit romantic and add some masala to so that American can watch that. But talking about the book, that book is very like purely talk about the India, which is talk about the Hindu patriotism or Muslim, or how a Hindu guy and Hindu girl and Muslim guy get into the relationship, but how the family pressure them onto them, pressure to marry some other guy, and the kind of matchmaking scene like this happened in this book, and this is something we all familiar with. That's why this book is on the number fifth.
My number 5 is something which I don't like at all. The book is called Mrs. Funny Bones by Twinkle Khanna. Have I hijacked your
Oh
list?
my god.
Or do you like this book?
no, no.
Yeah, so this is one such book that I read when I started my booktube journey, and I was picking books that are quite famous in the bookish world, and beginners who are not avid readers would connect with me when I talk about famous books. And I had this apprehension that I really like this book because I like her columns that she used to write in newspapers and all. But when I read this book, I was like, okay, I'm not liking this book. Is there something wrong with me or what? But then I read some reviews on Goodreads and all, and I thought this is not for avid readers. This is just, it feels like a bundle of all the columns that she used to write in magazines and all. So it was not at all funny for me. First of all, I don't know why the title is Mrs. Funny Bones, and it felt like just some common day scene which was happening in an apartment, and even then it was not funny. So yeah, I didn't like that book at all, and I feel like if it wasn't been written by Twinkle Khanna, nobody would purchase that book.
So number 5 on my list actually is okay, so the reason why this is number 5 is because it I like the book, but like also I have problems with it. And it is actually from the Shiva trilogy. It is it is The Secret of the Nagas. So within the Shiva trilogy, the Secret of the Nagas is the book that I like the most. But overall, I do have problems with the Shiva trilogy. But I like the story a lot. I thought it was very captivating the way he's blended in like mythology and I don't know, given it like a different spin, like a fictional spin. I thought that was it was really like nicely done. But I still feel like there were a lot of issues with the book that I had, which had a lot to do with just character development. So I felt like it wasn't the characters weren't like, I mean, they were very black and white. Ki like ye character acha hai, ye character bura hai. Bas, like that is it. Nothing like there were no gray areas. There was no like there was nothing that made them like real characters in that sense. So that's why
Yeah.
There is no actual secret of Nagas.
Yeah. Exactly. That is also there.
Yeah, so I have read just two books. I haven't read the third one because by the end of the second book, I got a bit bored with that.
Yeah.
I liked the progression with which the first book started, but by the end of the second one, I felt like it's not holding up the magic of the first book. And then I read several negative reviews about the third one that it's very plain, it's very vanilla. So I didn't go for the third one. So I don't know a lot about what you're talking.
Yeah.
And I also didn't read A Suitable Boy just because it's so long. I really do want to read that book. And I have heard so many good things about it. And I haven't watched the documentary either because I want to read the book first. And I know that the documentary couldn't match the magic of the book.
Okay, so I also haven't read A Suitable Boy for the same reason. It's too long. Like
It took me 3 months. 3 months.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how long did it take for you to finish reading that
No,
book?
it was back in 2018, so I just started reading it, and it took me around 3 months to finish that book.
Oh
but
my
I'm happy that I
God.
finished that book.
Okay, so my fourth number is The White Tiger by Arvind Adiga. And I liked that book when I read it. I like the mystery part of it. I picked it up because I like to read mystery books and like to read the character arc of a person. And that book is exactly like that. It is the story of a person named Balram Halwai who then goes on to become an entrepreneur and becomes a big hit in the entrepreneurial world. And he does a lot of shady things also in that whole process. And so I really liked the progression of the book, and I really liked the mystery part of it. But what I didn't like in that book is that it shows India in a very negative light. And I think that book won the Booker Prize. Yeah, it won the Booker Prize. But I felt that it won the Booker Prize only because it showed India in a negative light. Like it talked about the slums of India and all the poverty aspect of it and all of that. But that was all about it. It didn't talk anything good about India. When you show only the negative part, the people outside of India, they see India as a country like that it's a poor country and nobody should go over there. So I don't like that aspect of it.
To counterattack your question, to talking about the positive part of the India, it is a kind of a non-fiction book. I mean, it comes in the non-fiction book. It is book by the Om Swami. Actually, I want to address two books here. The first one is The Heart of Success, and the second one is Mindful to Mindful. Because talking about the Om Swami, as you said, the negative part of India, and the fourth book is completely positive. At the age of 19, he was millionaire. At the age of 19, he was millionaire, and after that he sold everything and become the monk. I mean, this is the part of India, and less people know about it. He's from the Stanford University, got some many degrees. He worked with many big billionaires or many big companies, and he started his own company. Then he realized that this is not something India wants, so he quit everything and started the monk journey and started writing the books. His books are mainly focused on the talking about the how you can start your business in the India, how the Indian mindset should be when we approach the global market. I mean, he is from that technological background. That's why The Heart of Success business obviously talk about how you can start your business, what are the things you required in the business. And the one of the best thing about the Om Swami is his writing style. I mean, it's so flawless that when you start it, you cannot put it down. I mean, it happens only with the most of the time fiction books, but you have to try this book. You will definitely love it. The Heart of Success, and the second one is Mindful to Mindful.
Okay, my number 4 is it is an Indian fantasy book called Born to be King by Deepak Thomas. So I love fantasy, and this is the first Indian fantasy book that I'd ever read. It has like all the very typical fantasy elements. So it has like a princess kind of a character. It has a bunch of misfit characters who are like half god, half human. And they're all basically going on like a quest together to save a kingdom. So it has the very typical fantasy elements, and it was just very, very like nicely written. It's a very like a simply written book, so very good for beginners also if they want to read. And I don't know actually that many Indian fantasy books. I don't know if you guys know any, but I'm like after this,
Hardly.
yeah, that's what I feel like. Indian fantasy, it's either not marketed properly or I don't know. It just I've not heard of any other apart from this one. So
Any-
I read a book called Arthala. It's in Hindi. It's not fantasy
Yeah.
fiction. It's actually, like, you can say, historical fiction, and it's a series of books. It's written by Vivek Kumar, I think. Yeah, Vivek
Yes.
Kumar. So it's called Arthala. The first book is called Arthala. The second is Malhar. I have read and reviewed
Allah.
both of them, and it's really, really good. So
Yeah.
it's set in an era like 6,000 years ago or something, and there are people who are half human, again half demon,
yeah,
and they are presented as human beings. Like, they are not presented
right,
as gods or demigods or something like that. They are presented as human beings, and they are trying to survive and thrive in their own tribe. And they have enemies, they have kings, and they have normal people, which we
yeah,
call praja, and like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so they have normal people, and they have enemies. They have one hero who has some superpowers. So he's trying to find his own way. He's being taught by his gurus and all. So it's really good. It's presented on a very humane level, and lots of characters coming together. You feel like you're reading like George R. R.
Equal to Harry
Martin
Potter.
kind
Equal to
of
Harry Potter.
books. Yeah, or maybe Harry Potter for that matter. It also has a map.
oh yeah. Yeah, any fantasy book has to have a map, otherwise it's
Yes,
not a fantasy book.
yes, maybe.
Yeah.
I have actually confusion about the number thing because this is the well-known book, and obviously it's from the Amish Tripathi. And actually confusion between first one is Palace of Illusion, second one is Sita, and third one is the Mohini. Actually, I have three names, and I was so confused to choosing one book, so I name all three. You can pick up anyone, but I really want to talk about the Sita, Warrior of Mithila, because of the female character, because of how she portrayed. Obviously there are some repetitive part. There are the like literally 30 to 50 pages from the first book directly you can copy paste it in the second book. I don't want to talk about that, but talking about how we see Sita as a character, or how actually we know Sita as a character, and how the book is portrayed. That's the reason I want to add this book in the list. That's the reason this is on the top three list, because in India the woman empowerment is very, very less, and the every year the woman empowerment is getting, actually, if you know, the fact is last year the woman empowerment in the Indian ecosystem was around 14%, and this year the woman ecosystem is around 8%. I mean, it's going down rather than going up, and that's ultimately affects all the factor of the India. And that's the reason I want everyone to read this book, to know how the female character is strong, how you should be act, how you should see the world, or how, what are the emotion you should have as a female. So that's the reason I want to include this book in this list.
My book is Palace of Illusions by Chitra Karni. That's why
Thank
I was
God I
like,
choose second one.
so yeah, I really like that book. I really like that book. I loved it. And I'm always drawn to mythological tales being retold by a different perspective. And I was really looking for something from a female perspective. And I love that book. The only thing that I didn't like in this one was the Karna Draupadi love angle. And like right from the start, it's established that Draupadi and Karna was in love, and everything Draupadi did had a consequence for that, or she was still thinking about Karna in every decision that she took. That was something weird for me, and I didn't like it. And I was questioning throughout the book, was it necessary, or was it just for sensationalization of the book? But apart from that, I really, really liked it, and I haven't read so much about Draupadi in other renditions of the Mahabharata. And right from the start, it starts from the birth of Draupadi, how she was born, until
Yeah.
she died. Especially the death scene of her and all the Pandavas was such a beautiful scene. I literally cried in that scene, and it was very, very beautiful. And all the time I have put on more thoughts about what was happening before or during the war. But I have never read or I have never paid much attention to what happened after the war. And this book captures it so beautifully. There are lots of things about what happened after the war and what were the dynamics that changed. So it was really new for me, and I absolutely love this book.
Yeah. Okay, thank God, Ronak, you also didn't say Palace of Illusions, because my number 3 is also Palace of
Oh my God.
Otherwise, all three of us would have said the same thing.
We are syncing.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
yeah. But yeah, so very similar to what you said, Avni. I feel that we have a lot of, especially in Indian mythology, I feel that we have a lot of very strong and powerful male voices that you always hear. And even like stories that you've heard in the past have always been from a male point of view. So it was very interesting when we get like a female perspective, because of course, like, I mean, gender equality and all that aside, the way men and women think is very different. And there are certain nuances that women might, like, think upon, or, that they might like feel, especially emotions and stuff, which I thought was very interesting to read in this rendition of the Mahabharata.
So actually, I was saying 2 days back while I was surfing on the Twitter, I saw the same thing that some Priya named the girl questioned the Chitra Banerjee about these two questions. The first one is about her second book, when Ram brings meat for Sita to eat the food, and the second question about the Karn, and that, yeah, as you said, and the author said that you have to read the Valmiki. There is everything mentioned in that book. So actually, we have not read the Valmiki, so we cannot say about it. But she was saying that it is written that only, and I just translated in my mind, and I have written that book. So like, I have no idea, but probably that's true. Like, no idea.
Yeah.
The number two is quite famous in the recent time, and it's none other than by the Avni Doshi, The Girl in the White Cotton, which is selected for the Booker Prize. The reason I read this book last year, but I never thought or never put a review on that book, even on my Instagram. I just thought maybe it's just a book for me and most of the people will not like it. So that's why I never put. But then I realized that we are talking about the India, then this is the must needed book in this book. Actually, The Girl in the White Cotton, it's not that suitable as compared to the Burnt Sugar. Burnt Sugar, which is launching in the US as the name of Burnt Sugar. The Indian version is The Girl in the White Cotton. But the Burnt Sugar name is very clear with the plot. So it's story about the mother and daughter relationship, the family drama. The mother is Tara and the daughter is Antara, and how their life is connected to each other. When Antara is small, then Tara left her marriage to go for a side, I mean, kind of affair. She goes for an affair, and her daughter sees everything that part of it. And when Antara get married, and Tara started to, I mean, her mother started to, started things to forgot. He tried to remember her daughter, even she tried to forgot her name, and that kind of thing. And the Tara and Antara, though both are opposite character. I mean, Tara and Ayan, Antara, I mean, both are opposite character. That's the catchy part in this book. But you should definitely read if you want to know mother-daughter relation in the India in really, really good manner.
So the second one on my list is Ghachar Ghochar by Vivek Shanbag. I love that book. I love that book for so many reasons. First of all, it's a very thin book. It was around 130 pages or something, but even then there was many blank pages after the end of one chapter. So they were like 80 to 90 pages long book. And the story is so good. It's on the backdrop of some people living in Bangalore, I think. It's in the southern part of India, and it's a rags to riches story, literally. So it's a joint family who is living in not so good conditions financially, and there are, I think, 5 people in their family: the father, mother, a son, a daughter, and father's brother, Chacha. So there are 5 people, and they are having a small business in their village, and they live in a small town and in a small house. And then the Chacha ji does a business of spices, and they become so rich that they shift to a bungalow. and then they have a different kind of a lifestyle altogether. But the dynamics change also with that. Like first they were sitting all together, they were discussing about what to make, what to eat, and whenever they had to buy something, they all bought, like they all discussed, and then they bought something. And if one person bought something out of the blue, then all of the other had to cut their budgets. So these were the dynamics when they were poor. And now when they have become rich, everybody has left their job. Only the Chacha ji is doing everything because nobody has to do anything. Everybody has become lazy. They are involved in shady things and nobody is doing anything. But then the son marries to a girl named Anita, who is like a feminist, and she speaks her mind. And then she starts speaking about why you are not doing any job, why nobody is doing anything, why only the Chacha ji is doing everything, why are you all like in your own zones. So she starts questioning everything. And then something happens, something mysterious happens. The ending of the book is also very mysterious. I'm not going to tell that, but it's very mysterious and it's like open to everyone sort of an ending, which I love. So everybody, you are thinking what must have happened. And it portrays the bond of a family and Indianness, Indian culture, villages, and like rags to riches, all the dynamics so beautifully and in just 80 pages. So that's commendable.
On number 2, for me, it's actually an audio book, which I found on Audible. It's by Madhuri Shekhar. So the name of the book is called Evil Eye. It is just a 1.5 hour audiobook. So it's quite short and you have to listen to it. So the story is basically about this Indian mother who is trying to get her daughter to go into an arranged marriage. And like she's like a very typical Indian mother where she's like, constantly nagging her daughters, telling her, get married, get married, get married. And the daughter is in the US. The mother lives in India, daughter is in US. And the daughter constantly tells her, no, like whatever, like, that she has her job, she doesn't want to get married. And then suddenly she meets a boy, the daughter meets a boy, and they fall in love and they start dating. And for some reason, the mother, she like has a very bad feeling about this boy. And then like the book goes from like being this like, mother-daughter relationship kind of contemporary fiction kind of book to something very sinister. And like it just takes a complete 180 turn to like something bizarre. And it's just so like it's just it leaves your like your jaw will like fall. It just like it becomes completely something completely different, and it's so beautifully done. And the way the story is told is actually through phone calls. So each character in the book has a different voice actor. So the mother has a voice actor, the daughter is a different voice actor, and it is set through phone calls. So like everything is like you'll hear the mother calling and then they'll have a conversation, and that's how the story is told. So it's so gripping. Like I listened to this book, I remember I started listening to it at home, and I had to go visit one of my friends. And throughout the taxi ride I was listening to the book, my friend was late to meet me, so I was so happy. I was standing in the mall listening to the book, like praying that my friend is late so that I can finish listening to it. It was phenomenal.
Especially I love it when you listen to audiobooks that are so very well narrated and they have different voiceovers. This reminds me of a book I recently listened to on Audible, Seriously I'm Kidding by Ellen DeGeneres. And it was so good because Ellen, it's first of all, it's hilarious. The book is so good. I had literally a laugh riot when I was reading that book. And Ellen does so many voiceovers, like it's her voice, but she does so many modulations, and there are some chapters where she is talking about finding Nemo, and then she literally starts using that Nemo voice. And when she's talking about an elderly lady, she might be using that kind of a voice. And she's talking about children, like she hates children, so she talks about them in that kind of a voice. So it's really interesting. So I really like it when audiobooks use that kind of thing in when they are narrating it, because it's not just plain narration. So you can actually recommend this book that you have to listen this in audiobook format.
Correct. Yeah, I think like our number 2 is something where all of us have got recommendations, which is great. Awesome. Okay, so let's go to number 1 now. Finally,
Yay!
we'll start with Avni. So let's hear your number 1. We'll do a drum roll.
Okay. My
It's
number
really,
one.
really hard.
My number 1 is a non-fiction, guys. It's not a fiction. It's
Oh.
this book, The Rudest Book Ever
Oh.
by Shweta
Oh.
Gangwar.
I forgot this book actually.
Yeah,
How can I
is
forget
by
this
an
book?
Indian
Shit,
author.
man.
This is an Indian book.
I recommended to each and every my WhatsApp friend to at least read once in a while, and I
I know,
forgot this
like,
book to add. Damn.
because when we think about Indian authors, we only think about fictional authors and fiction books. So why not about this? This is non-fiction, and this is by an Indian author whom I love, by the way. I
Exactly.
have been following his YouTube channel since like its inception. I have been following the Men Sutra channel also, and then his own channel, Shweta Gangwar. So when this book came out, like me and my husband, we both are ardent followers of Shweta Gangwar, and when this book came out, we had to buy it. We ordered this book from Amazon India, and then this book shipped here. So this actually costed us, I think like $20 or $25 or something, which is a lot. But we had to buy this book. We had to have this in the paperback format, and I love it. I love it. The reasons are, first of all, it's very raw in its writing. It's not like a very proper structured writing. There are different chapters about different topics, first of all, yes. But the writing style is very raw. It feels like Shweta is talking to you, or you might be reading some articles written by him, but still it gives you all the insights. Second of all, he doesn't portray himself in this book at all. Because whenever you read non-fiction books, especially by Indian authors, I have read many non-fiction by Indian authors. Most of them were the review copies that were sent to me. All of them included their own personal life story. I did this, I did that, I overcame this, I overcame that. I'm not interested, dude. I'm not interested to read your own life story. If you're giving me something which I can relate with, then it's okay. But throughout the book, they're talking about themselves, which this book doesn't do. And there are a lot of perspectives that this book tries to give you. It's not like if you have this problem, do it this way, or have this sort of a thinking, you'll solve it. He gives you perspective so that you can derive your own solutions out of your problems.
How to think?
And there's one thing in this book that I absolutely love, which I still follow. There's a chapter, or there's a, you can say a topic which says people are weird. So whenever you feel like you have a fight with someone, or you feel demotivated by someone might have said something, you just react to it as people are weird. This guy is weird. Because when you say people are weird, you don't attach any feelings to it. You don't say that this person is bad or this person is good. When you say weird, there's no emotion attached to it. So I really, really like that concept. It opened my eyes like, wow, this is such a good concept. So whenever I have any fight with, say, my husband or my friend or anyone, I just say, such a weird guy. And it just makes me happy, because I'm not attaching any emotion with that. Whether he's a good person, bad person, he's just weird. Yeah. Okay, he thinks like that. I think different, in a different way. So I love that concept. But overall, the book is really, really good, and everybody should read it, especially teenagers should definitely read it.
Nice. Awesome. Ronak?
Actually, you already told the book that I wanted to say. It's none other than Gachar Gochar.
But you can present your own reasons to love that book.
Yeah. Actually, I even like the same thing happened with the Gata. It's a very short novella, but the way it portrayed, the way the ending happens, that's completely beautiful. I mean, you have open mind now. You can think in any way that how actually a little bit of spoiler I want to give. Who did that murder? That's the only thing I want to say. That's all about that murder mystery, that what happens at the end. That's why you should definitely read the Ghachal Culture. As
Or
Avni
even that
already,
happened or not, it's not clear that
yeah,
it was a murder.
yeah,
It's not
exactly. I mean, that's
You
the
are
Oh my
open
thinking that
way.
way.
God.
I'm not thinking that way. I'm not thinking that it was a murder.
This is a complete open way. Anyone can think in any way. There is no limitations to, like, it's a 99% story. Just you have to fill that 1% with your brain. You can say that in
Oh
this way.
wow.
That's the reason the Gachar Gochar in the first number. But actually, I forgot the Rude's book. Otherwise, it will be on the either top 3 list for definitely. Avni is winner here, I guess.
Yes.
From my side.
Yes. In non-fiction category, this is hands down the clear winner.
My number one is The Namesake by thank you. Is The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. I and actually her other book also, which was Unaccustomed Earth, that I've read. These two, both of them actually are number one because I really really love her writing. And I grew up in the US actually. So I don't know, I connect a lot with the characters and what they feel, especially as like, you know, an Indian immigrant in the US, and the emotions that they go through, especially the character of Gogol in The Namesake, about, you know, just being an ABCD, which is like, you know, you're caught between two cultures in that sense. And yeah, just the way she crafts her stories, just the way she writes emotions, like what you said before, Avni, is just remarkable. And you really really connect with her characters that she's written, and you really feel for them, and you feel along with them, especially, like, you know, the things that they are going through. So yeah, she is one of my favorite authors. And
She is genius. She literally
yeah.
is genius. I have read Interpreter of Maladies, and I read that at a time when I just came to the US and I just
Yeah.
explored that there are public libraries nearby, and I picked up that book and I came home and I read it and
Yeah.
I cried because
Yeah.
I there were, I think, 2 or 3 months when I read that book when I came to the US, and I was already feeling homesick, and her book made me even more homesick, and I literally
Oh my God.
cried when I read this book. And just because of that reason, I didn't pick her other books because I knew
Yeah.
that I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
But I really loved her writing, and there was a coincidence that happened that when I was reading Interpreter of Maladies, the very first story that I read in it was set in a place where I live. So it was
Oh
Oh.
set
my
in New
God.
England. It was set
Yeah.
in New England, which comprises of 3 or 4 states of the U.S., Boston and New Hampshire and like Massachusetts and all of this. So I live in New England, and the
Oh.
way she was describing about it, like the fall of New England and people living over here, the culture, and I was like, what can be a better coincidence than this? Like, I'm reading this book, being here in New England, and I'm feeling homesick, just like the characters in the book are.
Yeah.
And I cried there. So, but yeah, I am gonna read Namesake. I've heard so many good things about that book.
Yeah. But the rudest book, actually, I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I like,
It's
I don't
it's
know. It
it's
is.
not actually non-fiction, but it will give you a lot of perspective. I mean, don't treat it as a non-fiction. Treat it as a you are getting a new type of perspective. Then you will enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everyone should read that book at least once in a life. I mean, he
Okay.
don't talk about the other non-fiction books, the deep work or any other book, that type of book. It's
Yeah.
purely, I mean, kind of fiction words also, but you will get a lot of perspective. You should definitely check that out.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
actually not nonfiction because if you go by the conventional thing, like how nonfiction books are, like if you'll
Mm.
pick any book, deep work or any book like that, there will be examples. There will be examples of people or
True.
of
Mm.
organizations who have succeeded or who might have failed. This book doesn't have any of that. It
Okay.
doesn't talk about the author himself, his journey, or about organizations, or about people, or athletes, or anything like that. It's just purely his own thinking, his own perspective, which he has tried to share with the readers. And they are all very Indian problems. That's why I like this book, because we all are, we all will be able to relate with this. All Indians will be able to relate with this, just like the problems that we have with parenting, and the conflicts with our parents, the things that we think that, oh, my parent have done this wrong, they might have done this or that, or with breakups, or like how boys and girls feel after breakup, and especially how Bollywood has ruined all of us. Songs and cheesy things and cheesy movies. So it talks about all of this, which I think is very new, and all Indians should read this book, because you can tune your mind. You can unlearn all those things that you have learned all the way. I actually had some other book recommendations also, like some Indian book recommendations.
Maybe I wanted to ask you that.
Okay.
How many books you shortlisted and finally took out of 5?
Oh, I shortlisted. Okay, I had about 8, which I then like shortlisted to.
Yeah, so maybe we all can give some honorable mentions or something like that.
Okay, let's do that.
Because there's so many good Indian books, so this can help the viewers also to pick from a long list.
Sure. Okay, let's do honorary mentions. Avni, we'll start with you.
Okay, so one book that I'd like to mention is Train to Pakistan by Khushwant Singh.
Yes, yeah.
I love the book, and more so because it talked about the partition, and I love to read books about partition, books about war, and what happened during that time, what were people thinking, what were the challenges that they had to face. And this book is a fictional account of partition, and based on a village which was called Mano Majra, where everything was going fine, where everybody was living with harmony. And then things started to change. There's also a love story in it. There's also enemies and grey characters throughout the book.
Yeah.
And it's quite dramatic as well. So everybody would like it. It has everything for every reader in it. Other one on my list was Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan.
Oh, I haven't read that.
I really liked it.
I have the guide by the R.K. Narayan.
Yeah. R.K. Narayan's writing is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's not for beginners, I would say, because it's not that easy or it's not that simple reading. But the vocabulary that he has used is beautiful. If you are an avid reader, if you like to read short stories, stories about cultures, stories about India, then it's a beautiful read.
Yeah, actually the one by the R.K. Narayan, the guide, and the second one was the Gandhi. But I don't want to talk about a lot of the Indian history. That's why I have not added those kind of books. That's why it's really hard to, it's really hard to shortlist book when someone says, like, I have even posted same thing on the Instagram, that it's really hard to recommend one book to one.
Yeah, that's true. Great.
And we haven't discussed about Chetan Bhagat. I think when we are talking about Indian books, we should give him a few minutes.
He didn't even make my 8. my top 8. So
I know. I wanted to mention a book by him called India Positive, which is a non-fiction book that he wrote recently. Like his last book was
last year launched a book.
In 2017 or 2018. 2018 he wrote India Positive.
After the girl in the room 105.
Yes. This is the one non-fiction book that he wrote, and this is the book that I like the most by him. When I was talking about the books that shows India in a negative light, I wanted to mention this book. And this shows India in a very positive way. And this also includes a lot of tweets that he has done over the years. There are literally clippings of his Twitter account. And there are a lot of things that people talk about India in a negative way, but he showed a different perspective about that. And he talked very good things about India. And there are not many grammatical mistakes in that book as well. unlike most of his other books.
Yeah.
That's also I liked. And it just didn't feel like this is written by Chetan Bhagat, who writes fictional books.
Actually, we have problem with the Chetan Bhagat when it comes to recent books. If you talk about the old books, like the first 2-3 books, then the graph was really going up. But when he shifted to the kind of fiction or mystery novels, then it started going down. That's the tragedy happened with the Chetan Bhagat. Otherwise, he been have in the list for sure.
People who just never had held a book in their hands, they started reading because of Chetan Bhagat. So I feel like that credit has to be given to him. But yeah, I will forever have issues with his writing. like you said, the grammatical mistakes and his sentence structuring is just like I will never be able to forgive that.
But at least this guy experiments with his book. Like, I can't even start reading Durjoy Datta. I have read some books of Durjoy Datta, 1 or 2 books, but then I stopped because his every other book is romance book.
Same.
And that
And
cheesy
same repetitive
romance.
2 characters.
Yeah, you can pick like koi bhi book Durjoy Datta ki, he will talk about just this romance of between a boy and a girl. Just the settings would be different, but it's the same old thing.
Actually, he tried to share his own life.
Yeah,
that is what I heard actually, that it's more like it's kind of autobiographical, his books. I don't know.
I like
same
his
characters.
Instagram persona a lot. I follow him on Instagram. And he's so quirky, witty over there, but I don't know what happens with his books.
Doesn't he have a YouTube channel also, or his wife has a YouTube channel?
The same videos that he posts on Instagram, he posts on YouTube.
I watched that actually, and I found him damn like cool in that. So.
Yeah, he is cool. His equation with his daughter, and I really like that. But I don't like his books at all. Same with this Ravinder Singh and Sudeep Nagarkar, and all of these write the same rubbish things.
I've not read.
Even I have not read. I have read what Ravinder Singh and what is another one in the college time. I mean, actually, Savi Sharma also I read because of the lot of people requested to review. That's why. And the basic problem or the basic thing is every book has in our life. Every book has a kind of a phase. In college time, we used to love the romance kind of books, friendship kind of books a lot. Now we are in not that age kind of thing. We tends to go for the meaningful books. We tends to go for where we bring a lot of कुछ दिमाग के लिए खुराक बन जाए. This kind we go for that kind of book. That's why we have to think with when it comes to the audience, we have to think okay, ये book कॉलेज के लिए ही है और ये कॉलेज में ही पढ़ी जा सकती है. अगर अभी दुर्जोय दत्ता पढ़नी हो तो ऑब्वियसली आई विल नॉट पिक अप फॉर श्योर, बट अभी कोई नॉन फिक्शन द रूटेस्ट बुक एवर होगी तो डेफिनेटली आई विल पिक अप.
Yeah, but even when I was in college, I can't go with Durjoy Datta's books.
No, I mean not only Durjoy Datta, Ravindra Singh, and actually I forgot the name of romance writers, Sudeep Nagarkar, and all these people.
Like there are ardent followers of Sudeep Nagarkar. I don't know why. They have bought like so many books of Sudeep Nagarkar. But that's okay. Every reader has their own choice. But I feel like they should experiment and they should go beyond one writer. And they should, like, I started with Chetan Bhagat. I haven't had anyone in my family who used to read books. But then I moved on.
Correct.
Your mind should open. When you are reading books, you should meet other people. You should talk about books. You should take new recommendations from people, and you should experiment with your reading. Then only you will know what you like or what you don't like.
Yeah, exactly. So now what I'll do is I'll just put up our list of our top 5 books on the screen right now, and you guys who are watching have to now comment down below whose list you think is the best. So we'll have a little bit of a competition to see. So comment below who you think is the best and let us know which list you relate to the most. Right. So yeah, that was the video for today. I hope all of you enjoyed it. I know I had a great time. Thank you so much, Avni and Ronak, for agreeing to be a part of this. It was great. And again, like I said, I mean, it's like, it's 10 o'clock here in Singapore and completely different time zones, but we still made it work. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a great time also.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, now please subscribe to Avni and Ronak's channel. I will leave their links in the description below. They both do an amazing job at reviewing books and giving amazing recommendations. So definitely check out their channels down in the description box. And yeah,
And also Shruti's channel.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yes. Yes. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ta-da.